Hey guys, it's Lydia.
And Jess.
And we are back with another episode of What About It podcast. This is our third episode. Today's topic is being and navigating in your 20s. So today we're going to be talking all about it. First, we're going to start with our segments. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to give this a like. Comment down below any of you guys' answers for the segments that we do, like what you're working on, your life updates, your dislike and like for the week. We're gonna just dive right into it. What's something you're working on this week? What is up? What's new?
Something I'm working
never
on.
prepared for the segments.
And honestly, like my life is just so like honestly boring. Like there's not a ton of stuff to do around here, so I feel like anything I'm working on is just the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but working on gym, working on buying clothes for this summer, which I never do.
Because all the sales are starting now.
I know, yeah. So I never buy my stuff. I'm always like halfway through the season, so trying to get my shopping done now for the summer.
Smart.
What about you? What are you working on?
Right now, I'm working on getting back into routine with school. Everything kind of just started all at once. I'm trying to like find that balance. I feel like I was working on the same thing last week, but it's still like that weird like adjustment. Do you have any life updates?
You
got something spicy for us.
Carrying on the 75 hard.
Love.
That's the update.
My life update is I went to Halifax for the weekend and it was such a fun little trip. It was like a 3-hour drive, did some shopping, but I only shopped for like what I actually needed. So I got like new dress pants because I'm doing a real estate photo shoot this week. Then I had like dinner. It was my first time like actually trying steak at dinner.
You're crazy.
Oh my god, no, it was so good. And then they upgraded our room and it was like really nice. It was like the cutest, funnest little getaway and it wasn't overly expensive, and that's something we should do together. It's like we never just go to Halifax for a weekend. It's like not expensive.
I know.
It's only a 3.5-4 hour drive and it's so like, fun and refreshing. I feel like recharged.
I know, and it's like the closest thing where we live to get to a city, so I agree.
If you guys are going on a little weekend trip or going to Halifax, I recommend the Sutton Hotel. It's like the new hotel downtown, so that was really fun.
Oh, it's new.
Yeah,
they like
that. It's so nice.
I know where I'm going.
Okay, do you have any, what are your likes for the week?
My likes. Okay. I just found out that the place where I go for hot day for my physical activity is doing Pilates. So they have the actual like machines that you can do stuff on.
What?
Yeah.
No.
So we're probably going to be doing that. We actually did a Pilates class together.
We went all last February every Tuesday morning at 10. Yeah.
But
the way I remember that so like in my head.
It sucked though because you're paying like $115 a month for like 4 classes a month.
Yep.
So, and it's like you're going once a week. You're not getting any
You're
progress.
not. That's not enough to see progress.
Yeah, no. So I do like that. I found that I was going to start taking Pilates
Oh my
class.
god,
so.
yay. I will so do that. I've been like slacking on the hot A.
No.
I'm like, yeah, I'll go with you. It hasn't gone yet this year.
I know. I was supposed to go yesterday and I did slack off. That's a dislike of mine. I slacked off yesterday on my day off, so.
My like for today is that it's Taco Tuesday. I'm having tacos tonight. So random.
Oh
You know what my dislike of the week is? Saltburn. The hype over that movie.
Stop. Saltburn was the most psychotic, mentally disturbing movie I think I've watched in like a long time.
Maybe that's why I'm having nightmares. My sleep schedule has been so bad since that movie.
No, it's like sick. If you have not seen Saltburn, it is so sick and twisted. Sick and twisted, okay?
If you guys like that, you're messed up.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think everyone has to watch it, like, once, just to, like, see what everyone's talking about. But I wouldn't, like, recommend it. You know what I mean?
It's like, watch it just to know how screwed up it is, and then just, like, no.
Yeah, like, you gotta get on the train. You gotta know, like, what everyone's talking about, but it's weird how things like that are getting like normalized. Like that's on Netflix, isn't it? Or
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but
it's messed up.
Okay, one more like that I'm gonna say before we dive into the topic is Valentine's Day is coming up. So like Galentine's.
Ew, we always do something for like Galentine's Day, like St. Patrick's Day or something.
Yeah.
We should just have some girls together and just like dress up cute and everything. So I'm excited.
Like
for that.
I feel like we do like pink red dresses.
We
like,
do.
I
have the perfect pink dress, that little like pink silk one I never wore.
Oh, your red one from Opali.
Oh my god, we're set.
I'm literally like dibs on that one. Dibs on your dress.
That one is cute. I've never worn that. I have so many dresses from Opali. That's my dislike of the week, is that I've bought like hundreds of dollars, like probably $1,000 worth of Opali dresses. Never wore them.
I literally wore all of them in Vegas. Like, I wore them.
Yeah, at least they made it somewhere. So
You
Vegas,
never even
like,
got to wear them.
No, and I was not in Vegas either, by the way. Like, the dress is just like went in her luggage instead of me.
We're gonna just dive into navigating our 20s. So I'm 23.
I'm 22.
I feel like we're in the early stages, but to me, I feel like I'm so much older than I am.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm, like, 27, 28, but, like, I know I'm 23. But, like, does that make sense?
I know. I've dealt with that, like, since I was, like, 17. Like, when I was 17, I felt like I was, like, 18, but still 16. You know what I mean? I'm 22. I feel like I'm 20. I feel like I'm 20.
Really?
My mindset is still in that, like, 20 feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It's just that feeling, like, if I was to, like, recap my feeling of being 20 into one, like, little bubble and put it inside me, like, that's how I feel.
Ah,
yeah,
interesting.
It's weird. Yeah.
No, it's weird because
20.
I feel older because I feel like I'm comparing myself to people who are older, so I feel like that's how I need to be, if that makes sense.
I feel like we all try to act older than we actually are, like, especially when we're, like, teenagers, like 16, 17, 18, like, oh yeah, I can make all my decisions, I know everything. Like, no, you don't. You really don't. Like, I thought I knew it all at 18, and I'm 22 and I laugh at myself at 18. Like, you thought you knew, girl. If I was to, like, start off, like, talking about, like, how you're feeling behind, everyone deals with that differently and in different, like, severities and everything, just like, because everyone's life is in different stages. We're both, like, had different pasts, we'll have different futures, have different presents and everything, but in the terms of, like, being behind, it's like, I'm 22 and I know people who are, like, 21 who have, like, graduated university and, like, have their big kid job. I didn't go to secondary school. I don't know what I'm doing with my life yet. I haven't figured out anything. And then these people are just, like, already starting their adult lives. Even though I'm an adult and I'm a year older than some of these people, it's still, like, it's discouraging and almost, like, discrediting to, like, think about it. Just, like, people being younger than you or same age or whatever, just, like, being ahead of you.
I feel like your 20s are, like, a weird place because you're seeing everyone in such different stages. Like, yesterday we were on Facebook and someone we know literally has a baby.
That shouldn't. Not for purpose. That should not have a baby.
That maybe shouldn't have a child. But we're kidding here. But no, it's like no, like, your 20s, I feel like literally what you just said is, like, you see people with, like, their full careers, and it's like you're not in that stage, so it's like you feel like you're left behind. Just trying to remember that everyone's timeline is different. Everyone wants something completely different. So yeah, maybe they have a better job than us, but maybe they want something completely different than what we would want. Like, maybe they want to open a restaurant. It's like, that would be our nightmare. Like, we would never want that.
No.
You know what I mean?
But, like, also, I feel like not even having to do with, like, your achievements in life, like, whether you want to call this an achievement or not, getting married and having kids. Like, I know a girl at work who just got married last year, and she's, like, 23. And I was like, okay, you're 22 and you got married. And we know so many kids who have babies who aren't married or are married, and it's just, like, holy, like, and they're so young, like, in their young 20s. It's just, I don't know, I always thought I would have been married and kids before 25.
Really?
Yeah. And now that I'm 22, going on 23 this year in November, I'm like, okay, that's definitely not gonna happen. I don't know.
But would you even want it to happen?
I don't know where I'm at in life right now. I would say, it's weird because a lot can happen in 2 years. I might be super financially stable and, like, great life and everything, be ready to have kids in, like, by the time I'm 25, but right now I just don't see it in the books. And it's weird to think about it when you're, like, 16 and 17. You're like, oh yeah, that's, like, 10 years from now. 25, like, I'll be on my second kid by then. And now it's, like, 22, I'm like, no, I won't. Like, I'm just not ready for that yet.
No. And kind of along with that, dating in your 20s is also weird because I feel like we're still in the phase. We don't need to be, like, looking for our person. Like, we can just be having fun dating. Like, I know a lot of people who are just, like, dating at, like, even 28. Like, I see all these TikTok story times. Like, go get ready with me for a date. You don't need to be looking for a partner. Like, I feel like you need to be comfortable and know yourself and stable with yourself before you jump into dating, especially this early on, because we're still so young, and like, yeah, some people are ready to get married at like 20 and jump into a full life, but I feel like unless you really know yourself, you should be dating to like add to your life, not to make your life, if that makes sense.
And like control your life.
Yep.
One thing I will add to this, I have, like, we know this girl, and she showed me this journal. I was like, what is this for? And she's like, okay, well, you know, I usually go out to like a restaurant by myself once a month. I try and do it. It's called like a self-love day. And she's like, I just do it once in a while just to remind myself that I only need me and not to depend on other people for my happiness and success and just everything in life to make me happy. And so she'll go out and deliberately have a day where she does not hang out with any friends, doesn't hang out with any like guys or anything, doesn't go on dates, just has a date for herself, and will go out and sit by the beach and have a picnic by herself. Will go and get her nails and hair done.
I've seen this.
Yeah,
so
I've seen
her
like,
do this.
I'm like, that is so smart, and she's so deep down and like
In tune
spiritual
with
and like,
herself.
yeah. And she's like, you need to like love yourself first and always before putting that into someone else's hands. You should never put that into someone else's hands, period. It is all like for you.
No, and I also feel like this is the time in our lives where we have the time to go learn ourselves, learn what we want. We no longer, well, we'll get into this after, but like, we no longer live at home with our parents. We no longer have people telling us, you need to get up, you need to go to work, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, it's all up to you. Like, this is the time where it's like, it's up to you whether you make it or whether
you break it.
Yeah, literally. It's like whether you make it happen or you just ride with whatever you're doing and stay safe and stay comfortable. But like, now it's time to take the risks, because it's a lot easier to screw up when you're 22 than when you're 32. You have a lot more support and a lot less structure, I feel like, almost.
Yeah, 100%.
Along with that, like I just mentioned, like living at home. Now, this is like a weird thing because I know so many people who still do live at home who feel like they're behind because of it. I feel like that's one of those things, you feel that expectation, like you see some people in different phases, like everyone's like the same age, but everyone's in some different places. Like some people are like mid-school, just going out every weekend, single. Some people are literally married. Some people are buying a house, have their full career, all at the same age. And then some people are still living at home, working to get there. And I think it's really, really easy to compare yourself, especially at this point, and feel like you're not doing enough and feel like you're behind and struggling to navigate it. But everyone here is like going through the same thing in every single different aspect. Like the person who's married and stable at home might be like, wow, I'm missing out on living up my 20s, like going out. But the person living up their 20s could be like, I really just want to be married. And just a reminder that everyone wants different things, and now is the time to take the action to go for what you want, and know that literally everybody's path is different. You hear it so much, and you can listen to self-help podcasts, and you can listen and try to like learn self-help stuff, but like, you know what you need to do. Like everyone knows what they need to do and what works for them.
I feel like good habits and routines are something that's definitely going to help just with everything in your 20s. Because it's like, if you're in a bad routine and stuff, and like, let's say you're still living with your parents and stuff and you want to get out but you just don't know how, like getting into good habits is like where you start. Like, first off, definitely have a job if you're still living with your parents and you're like old enough that you should, right?
Now is the time to like build the habits that are going to stick and set you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, like definitely like be making some money and be having like start planning your stuff now and figuring out like what it is that interests you that you can do to make money, that you're not going to get bored of, that you're not just going to want to scrap and then be stuck with nothing. Start going to the gym, start like going out and being in nature more, just start like getting in good habits and routines. That's going to just help you like grow as a person.
And again, back to like the living at home, living with friends or whatever, this gives you the ability to save extra money. It gives you the ability to set yourself up for the future, and that's something to keep in mind. Like if you are in that place and you hate it there, you are still getting ahead. It just looks a little bit different. Yeah. Jessica was just saying, like having a good morning routine, waking up early, going to the gym, like that's gonna stick. If you don't get anywhere else, at least you have your habits at the end of the day, which are good and positive and are gonna help you get farther. And honestly, just literally, I feel like your 20s is about learning about yourself.
Yeah.
Learning what you need, learning what you want, learning to go for it. Another thing about learning about yourself is learning what works for you, reflecting on your past. To start, I feel like everyone has I don't want to say spiritual awakening, but I almost feel like that's a common thing that everyone has in their early 20s. As soon as you get out on your own, you're like, wait a minute, what was my life? For us, when we moved, I remember we both went through it at the exact same age.
Yeah.
Mine happened a year before you. We literally had spiritual awakenings. I'm like, what do I believe in? What are my values? What do I want without the influence of my parents, my family, my old friends, the people I surrounded myself with? I'm like, I am now on my own. What is that?
An existential crisis. You're like, what is this
literally.
life?
And I feel like everyone goes through this, assessing anything that maybe was traumatic as you grew up and just processing everything. I feel like that can be a hard thing to deal with in your 20s, but I also feel like therapy is a lot more normalized now. If you are on your own, you're going through existential crisis, you have no friends, you move to a new spot, there's people you can go to for help and help you learn about yourself and what you need, and it's okay to take the time to figure that out.
Yeah, and adding on to that with the trauma and healing, you choose for yourself how you're gonna heal and work through the process, moving past the things that have happened to you. So it's you can either go through a lot of stuff as a kid and then grow and then just be angry at the world and angry at everybody and get into addiction and use that as an excuse to just fuel the fire that you're in. Or you can just figure out ways, healthy routines and stuff like that to kind of break the pattern. And that's a big thing with me is I had a lot of trauma and healing to kind of get over in my past, and I was using it as an excuse to do bad things and just oh well, I had a bad past, so that's why, so just leave me alone and I'll deal with it how I deal with it. And really I was just digging myself a deeper hole.
Yep.
So I feel you can choose, you're in control of your life, so it's you get to choose how your life turns out. When I have kids, and I would always say this, me and my parents get along pretty good now, but I would always say as a kid, and even now, is I would never have kids until I was completely ready, and I would make sure that they grew up a lot different than I did, because the way that I did was not right in a lot of ways. I didn't have a completely horrible childhood, but there's a lot of things that I would do a lot differently, that has to do with child's growth and development and stuff. And yeah, a lot of that goes into play. So I think it's all how you decide to move on in your life
and choose how to cope, whether to let it keep you stuck or whether to use it as your motivation to succeed at the highest level you can. Something else about your 20s is I feel this is a time where you can really use it to build your brand and your reputation in a positive way really early on, which is a huge advantage. So anyone who really did start working at an earlier age, maybe you do have your full career and you're 22, hustling, making money, setting yourself up for life, you have the ability to build a good reputation and a great image for yourself at an early age, as long as you choose to.
It's that time where you have the ability to make mistakes, still be able to rebound and come back. I mean, I wouldn't say any mistakes, there's some that are just you just can't come back.
You don't want to dig yourself into credit card debt at 21.
Yeah, there's some things, we should just preface that, there's some things, but yeah, I agree with that totally.
I feel we need to end on a positive note.
Yes, all this depressing
we're trauma and credit card debt.
Yeah, don't do that.
Lastly, to end on a positive note, we're going to give you guys some tangible tips and advice just on self-love and navigating your 20s and moving forward, because there's always going to be those up days and there's always going to be the hard times, and
life is just full of waves of emotions and
it is
sadness and madness.
Not the sadness and badness. But once you learn to love yourself and you do the work on yourself, it makes it a lot easier. You don't need to rely on other people. As long as you can count on yourself and trust yourself, you're gonna be okay.
I want to say something too. I feel if anyone's going through addictions, or you're drinking a lot or something, and it's you may think that makes you super happy, and it probably does in the moment, but if you're able to put that aside and get sober and stuff, you're able to kind of
take your power back.
Take your power back. And I will say I thought I was so happy when I was drinking all the time, and I've never been happier when I wasn't. So it takes time to get there, but like you will be the happiest.
Showed up for yourself and you can
Yes.
count on yourself and you got
Because
your power
nobody
back.
Nobody else is gonna show up for you except for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Knowing what you're willing to put up with and creating strong boundaries early on regarding what you're going to tolerate. Because if someone's constantly in your circle beating you down and stuff and you just get so used to it, you're going to end up realizing like, oh, I'm 25 now and I have the worst circle of friends. I've spent time with people who've treated me like trash. And so you're going to feel that. You feel what you get.
Yeah. You're gonna sit back and realize one day is like, why did I let that stuff happen? Why did I let these people drag me down? Why did I let this happen or that happen?
No.
Because it does shape you into the person that you are, but you are able to fix
The
that.
people you surround yourself with.
Was it birds of the same feathers fly together or something?
Birds
yeah.
of the
Birds of the same flock fly together. Feathers. I don't know. You know what I mean.
What would be 3 tips you have on building strong self-love for yourself? Like, what are 3 things you do every day to make sure you feel good about yourself, you feel positive, and help you navigate life day to day?
Writing down in a little book, like you should keep like a bedside book and write down like 3 things or however many things you love about yourself, and then just like say that to yourself every morning when you wake up. And then just like always talk positively about yourself. Do not talk negatively about yourself, because I read something online and it was like, even if you're joking and you're talking about yourself in a joking,
Like the
negative
self-deprecating comments.
your brain can't comprehend that you're saying it in a negative way. It still takes it negatively. You know what I mean? So, or saying that you're meaning it in like a joking way. It's taking it in that negative way, whether you're joking or not. Definitely always talk about yourself in a positive way and do things that make you happy. Yeah. Do things that make you happy. Good routines.
I would say 1, do things that challenge you that you think you can't do and prove to yourself that you can. I think that's number 1. Set hard challenges and then show up and do them. I agree with the words of affirmation, like the writing in the journal. I do that every single night and it just makes you feel so good at the end of every day knowing you did something for yourself. Like that's showing yourself self-love, like taking care of yourself.
Yes.
And then lastly, like finding people who love you as much as you love them. I feel like. Oh, that was kind of cute.
I like that.
I kind of like that one.
Ending on the good note. I like that.
Do you feel like we covered everything we wanted to for this episode?
I feel like we covered a good chunk of things.
I feel like we're kind of missing stuff, but I feel like we could do a whole other episode kind of regarding that. I think our next episode is going to be friendships, toxic friendships,
yes,
and story times. Next episode is going to be the tea. Let me just say.
Hot tea. You wait. You wait.
For navigating and being in your 20s, that's what it's about.